Welcome to the Tiger 10, where notable TU alumni answer 10 questions sharing their personal and professional experiences. In today's episode, we feature Stretch Garrett. He's been thriving in the music and radio industry for 23 years. He got his first big break in radio at the age of 20 while still a junior at Towson University. A true lover of R&B and classic hip-hop, he says that music is the perfect remedy for any ailment. Stretch has held positions at Yahoo Music, AOL Music, Atlantic Records, and BET.com. He has graced the airwaves on radio in Baltimore, Cleveland, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. What do you remember most about your time at TU?
I think for me, the most exciting thing that I do remember about Towson is congregating outside of the Black Student Union on the now infamous bench, which is no longer there, and just hanging out with friends and talking about music, talking about whatever was going on at that particular time, going to the Chick-fil-A, getting fresh with the ladies that worked at the Chick-fil-A so I can get some free food. So it was some good memories there. And of course, just from an educational standpoint, just meeting some very cool and professors who definitely took me underneath their wing and showed me all the good things that I've learned throughout my time at Towson that I still apply to what I do today at work.
What was your favorite place to hang out on or around campus?
Well, it's two places that you will always find me. You can always find me on the bench by the Black Student Union, or I really enjoyed my time in the radio production room in Communication Hall, or I forgot the name of the hall, but that's where you would find me in the radio production room, always working on stuff. While I was trying to hone and work on my skill and my craft as being a radio personality, I would be in there chopping up stuff, listening to music, creating these demos and things of that nature. And I kind of had like carte blanche because they just let me sit in there for hours at a time, and so that's where you would always find me.
How did your experience, and particularly your major in mass communications, help prepare you for your career?
I think most importantly, the things I learned in mass communications that kind of I took to what I do in my career was, one, learning the fundamentals, learning the different aspects of communications, whether it be verbal or nonverbal. The journalism classes that I took, the film classes I took, I kind of took a lot of different entities from all of those classes and kind of morphed them into what I do as far as being a radio personality, now being an author, just being more so just, learning how to work with time, being manageable, knowing when to take a situation and assess it to make sure that this is something that is going to be relevant for me to do. And that's pretty much it.
How did you begin your career in radio while you were still a student at TU? How did you break into the industry at such a young age?
Good question. So what happened was I was a junior at Towson University, and I knew that radio was going to be what I wanted to do. So I took it upon myself to go to every radio station that was in Baltimore at that time and just sat there until I was able to meet with the program directors and just basically, as they used to say, do it guerrilla style, because you had to make sure that these people knew who you were. This is, of course, pre-social media, anything. So it's just me, my tape in my hand, my resume that I created, and I just made myself available. And kind of like to a certain degree, I badgered myself up in there. But at that point in time, I was able to secure an internship, and that internship thus turned into an actual job while I was still a student. So while we're in class learning these certain things that I'm supposed to be learning, I was way ahead of my colleagues and the students that I was in class with, because I had already was learning these things while I was getting on the job training, already working at a radio station. I started off at a station that is no longer existent. It is V103 in Baltimore, but then from there I moved over to WERQ 92Q in Baltimore.
How would your playlist as a TU student differ from your playlist today?
Oh man, back then all I was listening to was 90s hip hop and R&B. It hasn't changed. It's still the same. So I loved me some 90s hip hop and R&B. What I would throw in, some current artists now, of course, a couple of some John Legends, little Beyonce's. I love The Weeknd. I love PJ Morton, Ari Lennox, her. Just so many like these new cats that I really like. But back then, all you would hear me listen to is definitely De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Mary J. Blige, Heavy D and the Boys, Big Daddy Kane, anything 90s hip hop and R&B. That's what I was listening to.
You've worked at a lot of really cool places over the last 20 years. How has your career in the music industry evolved? Are there any highlights you'd like to share with us?
Oh man, absolutely. I think the highlight for me was when I left Baltimore in 2004 and packed up and moved to California. And I started working at Yahoo Music, which is no longer around. But I was doing radio on the weekends at a station called KJLH, which is owned by Stevie Wonder. That was probably like one of the most, joyful moments of my life, having to meet and be in the presence of a living legend, and him knowing my name and him giving me his phone number and him calling me while I was on the air on certain times to say, hey Stretch, do me a favor, I want you to play this right now. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. So like that was pretty much probably like the highlight of my career. I mean, I've met a lot of great people, a lot of big and famous folks, but no one trumps Stevie Wonder.
You're from Baltimore, but your career has taken you to several big cities, including Cleveland, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and DC. Your hometown excluded, which city is your favorite and why?
I've also lived in New York too. So I would have to say it's a toss-up between the Bay Area. I know a lot of people were like, oh, well, you lived in Southern California. Why would you say the Bay? Because the Bay reminded me so much of the East Coast. Like, I love the vibe of the Bay. I love the folks from the Bay Area. The music scene there was super dope. It was just a great experience living there. But then I also would have to say New York. My mom is from New York. I have family in New York, of course. And when I moved to New York, it was just like home. So I have an opportunity to, walk the streets that legends walked and ride the subways that legends rode, and it was just a dope experience. So it's a toss-up between the Bay and New York.
Do you have any new projects that you're currently working on?
Absolutely. I have an IG series that I just started called Dope Chats with Stretch, being that we're going through this period of time of quarantine. When we first started, I guess, being quarantined, I wasn't on the radio at the time, so I was looking for an outlet to do until they started letting us back onto the radio station. So I utilized the Instagram and created this Dope Chats with Stretch, where I just talk to other creatives, whether it be authors, musicians, politicians, yogis. It doesn't matter. I just want to put people out there, give them a platform so that they're able to reach out to certain folks that they may not have a chance to come across on a day-to-day basis. And then, of course, promoting my book, my novel, right back there. It's called The Last Request. It's my first book. Is a very great book, if I do say so myself. It's a romance novel written from a male's perspective. It's about a radio personality by the name of Mason Blake Jr., who actually works in Baltimore. And it is about his trials and tribulations and his ups and downs when it comes to the matters of the heart.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't think, just do. I know it may seem a little abrasive to say, wait a minute, we all have to think before we do stuff. But sometimes when we overthink, we kind of talk ourselves out of stuff, or we put ourselves in positions where we're not really are utilizing our talents to their fullest capability. So I remember a mentor a long time ago just told me that, man, don't think, just do. Be surprised on the outcome that happens when you do stuff like that.
What are you most inspired by?
Life. I'm inspired by the fact that, you know, I get to wake up each and every day and do the things that I love to do, and have the opportunity to reach people that I may never had an opportunity to reach, whether it be on the radio by playing a song, or whether it's someone who picks up my book and reads it and then they send me a good review or just an email saying, hey, your book was dope, I really enjoyed it, and I can relate. So I think those are the things that inspire me for the most part, just everyday life.
What song can you listen to on repeat?
That is simple. It would be Golden Lady by Stevie Wonder. That's the song that I hope to play at my wedding. Whenever that day will come, ladies, holla at me if you need me. Yes, that's definitely one of my favorite songs that I never get tired of. Golden Lady by Stevie Wonder. Check it out.
What's one thing people don't know about you?
Most people would automatically assume that I know how to play basketball. No, I'm just kidding. I know how to play basketball. No, I cannot swim to save my life. It's funny because on my 40th birthday, on my 40th birthday, I took a trip to Costa Rica by myself just to kick it, have some fun. And I booked a trip on a catamaran that just took us way out to sea. And then, of course, we get out to sea and they said, hey, everybody, okay, it's time to jump off so we can go swim to the beach. I was like, oh, crap. But I purposely took swimming lessons prior to this trip, so therefore that I would be able to at least tread water or get some sort of routine so I could make it look like I know how to swim. So those lessons did help me, and I did have a life vest on, so I was able to get to the beach. So I gotta learn how to swim.
What are the 3 things you can't live without?
My phone. It's like I've become so attached to this thing, and it's crazy. But I would say definitely it's my phone, my AirPods, because they're must-haves for me, because I just love listening to music. And I think probably the third thing, you always see me with a cigar. I'm a cigar connoisseur, so I always have my cigar carrier with me. You never know where you're gonna be that you can smoke a cigar. So